So, anybody heard of JHipster? We got a few people, good. So I've been a big fan of various scaffolding tools. You see a lot of it around Node and PHP and everything. And I've never thought Java had any good scaffolding tools. But I've been following JHipster for the last year, and it's really stepped up their game, and it's now a very widely used scaffolding tool for bootstrapping, Spring Boot based applications, whether you want to do monolithic applications or microservices and do all kinds of things. Rather than do a presentation, I'm going to do some demos of bootstrapping an application just in a few minutes time, and you guys can dig some more into it on your own. JHipster.org. This is jhipster.tech. You can go to jhipster.org and that'll get you here, or just type in JHipster. Some of the authors there come from Okta and some other big, Pivotal or big contributors to JHipster. So I'm going to just remotely connect to my Linux machine. Can you guys, I don't know why, let's just see here. Get that font up there. That's a little bigger. Okay. Alright, don't look at my password.
What was that?
Okay. Alright, so I'm just going to make a new directory called demo, cd demo. And so I've already installed JHipster tools. There's a whole series of npm tools. And I'm actually going to start this with sudo. That's because I haven't gone through and fixed all my Node stuff. So this is going to run through a series of questions. So we're going to go ahead and create a monolithic application, but I could create a microservice application, microservice gateways, different microservices, a user authentication server. So I'm going to select that. Default application name is demo. Package name, we'll select that. It says, do you want to use the JHipster register to register your applications in a expose them as discovery service. We don't want to do that right now. I'm going to go ahead and select the HTTP session authentication, so it's going to build in user authentication. I could use the OAuth 2 on the bottom, in which case I can bind this in with Okta easily, or Keycloak. If I'm not running my own Keycloak server, JHipster actually generates the Docker Compose YAML files for me to bootstrap a Keycloak server that's already set up and configured with the users. It'll bind to my application. Now I can say I want to use SQL style database. My production database will be MySQL. My development database will be H2. I'll just use the Hcache. I could choose Hazelcast if I want to distribute application. We're just doing a simple monolith. Hibernate second level cache, go yeah, I want to build this in Maven. You could do Maven or Gradle. You could add in here, if you want to add in Elasticsearch, WebSockets, Kafka, some other stuff. I'm going to skip that. Now you can build a client, so the work we're building is an application that's being built on the Zool gateway server, and it's going to build a client-side application for us. We can do that out of Angular or React, or we can choose some other language we want. But that Zool gateway server is going to host up those static files for us, and also some application code that is basically API. So our Angular application is going to talk to the API. So we're going to go with Angular. We can choose a just a default theme, some CSS. We'll do that. There's a lot of different ones. Internationalization. So let's go ahead and say English, and we'll choose French and German, just so that we don't have any conflicts there. I can add in additional testing stuff like Gatling, Cucumber, Protractor. We're not going to do that. And there's a bunch of other generators you could throw in there. We're going to skip that. So we'll let it generate. So while it's going through and it's building my package here, so it's a combination of using a bunch of Spring Boot technologies as well as Angular technologies, everything that I selected. Of course, packaging down into one big monolith. Now, what's cool about JHipster, and you can read about it in a sort of a definitive book that you can find on O'Reilly Press, is that you can start off with a monolith application, kind of get your feet wet, get comfortable, and then you can transform that into a microservice application. So you can break it down to having a gateway server in the front that's serving up your Angular applications, and you can have microservices that are serving your different domains here. All right, can't see too well. All right, let me go back, and again, I need to move this out of the way. Yep. There we go. Oops. Okay, sudo change R. Demo once again, because I'm lazy and I don't want to fix my. Okay. Now, just like Spring Boot Initializer, I can run the .mvmw, and that will go ahead and build everything and run it. And it'll attach to, it binds to port 000 on my server back on my desktop, so I can, once this thing is started up, wait for it to start up.
Is there like a default target or something? Or,
What do you mean?
well, it's just running MVM with no target.
Oh yeah, yes. Yeah, so by default, it basically does a clean and full build, and then actually executes it. So it's nice having all these tools that just do everything for you. Okay, it's almost started. All right. I go back here, and I will execute it remotely. So now it's downloading my Angular application. That's booting up. It's going to give me my welcome screen, and if I am not happy with English, I could choose German. Everything's going to be German, and so on. So you've got all this stuff is scaffolded in there, right? So now you don't have to, you develop an app, like if you think about your typical agile approach to things, you develop an app, it's in one language, it does one thing, and then you come back and you add next thing and add next thing. Well, all that stuff is in here, and they follow very common patterns for the implementation, very easy to look at that source code. So if I sign in, I'm going to sign in here as admin. There's two users that are created by default, admin and user. The reason I'm signing in as admin so that you can see a lot of the other stuff they add in there. They just automatically build this user management. Of course, if this was bound to Keycloak or Okta, those would be used for management. But it brings in things like Spring metrics for you, and it's the Spring administrative package, which will show all the metrics and health configuration. Go down here, automatically generates all the Swagger stuff, and gives you a live bootstrap of Swagger. It also does offline Swagger, so you can tell it to generate all the offline Swagger documentation, so you don't need to, if you're familiar with how that works, it's a real pain that you have to have something running. But yeah, I can go through here and I get all the typical Swagger stuff. All right, now I'm going to, what am I going to do? I'm going to log out and close that. Now I'm going to shut it down and demonstrate some of the scaffolding features that are kind of cool. So first we go back. Now there's tons of information here on JHipster website. If you go to Tools, click on JDL Studio, this is going to give you a nice GUI and sort of declarative language for doing data modeling. Right, so over here we can see that we have, maybe it's the right button. Why is it? I can't seem to drag. Okay. Well, we see our data model over here, and over here we've got this this language, a JDL language, right? JHipster descriptor language. Now, if I downloaded all this here, which describes the entities there, it describes the relationships, and I've downloaded it already, so I'm going to go ahead and run that by using the import JDL command. Downloads. Okay, so it's this. I've downloaded that descriptor file here, so I'm going to just run it. Now it's going to go through and start modifying my code. Now it's asking me, do you want to modify this code here? And I'm just going to say accept all, let it go to work. So what it's doing is it's taking all those, it's taking that data model, and now it's creating a bunch of database entities for me, as well as screens to go in and edit, look at those things. So it really jump starts if you want to bring in an application with a lot, with a full data model already. It gives you a starting point. It's not perfect, and you wouldn't want to put that in front of a customer. All right, let me do clean here real quick. Oops. I can do this. Clean. Type. All right, now we'll start it up again. See the changes once it gets going. Hopefully npm install. Yep, that's fine. Npm install on the bottom. So now it's going through recompiling the Angular application, which if you haven't ever had to do it by hand, or at least even instrument the recompilation of an Angular application into whatever you're doing, you know what a pain it is. Fortunately, it's all here. In fact, this didn't run any tests, but this also builds for all the, maybe it's doing the test now. No, it's not. Okay, for everything it builds, also builds all the corresponding tests for you, so it gives you a real jump start there. Who doesn't do testing when they? No, never mind. Okay, so we'll bring it up again. And this time I'll log in. I'll just go ahead and log in as user. You can see there's a couple of different logins. Now, the Entities tab has all these entities that came from that JDL. And it also generates a bunch of random mumble jumble for you and populates it in there. So you've got stuff to look at when you're looking at screens. Let's see what happens with do job. Yeah, some reason with the jobs, it always randomly populates actual job names. There's no source for, it doesn't say go get this stuff and populate it. Just always seems to randomly pick the right number, right stuff. So you've got everything for editing and listing and so on, deleting. You want to delete? Yep, go ahead, delete that, so on and so forth. All right, so that's it. 6 minutes, 20 seconds. All right.
That's very, very cool.